Hi, Dwayne.
Hey, how you doing?
Good, you?
Good, good.
Two minutes to live, 2 minutes. One minute to live, 1 minute. And live in 9, 8, 7, 6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, and you're up. Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. I'd like to call this regular meeting of the Council of the Corporation of the Municipality of Kincardine to order at 5 o'clock at the Municipal Administration Center on May 15, 2023. Roll call. Deputy Mayor Clark.
Present.
Councillor Blackwell.
Present.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Present.
Councillor Hinchberger.
Present.
Councillor Kennedy.
Present.
Councillor Prenger.
Present.
Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
Present.
Councillor Stewart.
Present.
And I'd like to acknowledge our staff that is here and a large group of people that are wonderfully excited about the local municipal government proceedings. So thank you for all for being here. Councillor Blackwell, please.
As representatives of the municipality, we have been entrusted to act as stewards for the community in which we live and work. We recognize the importance of learning the full history of this land, our place within its long story, and our responsibilities as treaty peoples. I would like to acknowledge that we are meeting on the traditional lands and treaty territory of the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, which includes the Chippewas of Nawash Unceded First Nation and the Chippewas of Saugeen First Nation. We deeply appreciate the contributions that Indigenous peoples have made and continue to make, both in caring for this land and strengthening our communities and respective nations. As a public service organization, we are committed to actions that move us towards a journey of truth, healing, and reconciliation with the Saugeen Ojibwe Nation, the Métis Nation of Ontario, and the historic Saugeen Métis.
Thank you, Councillor. Are there any amendments, additions, or deletions to or from the agenda that council would like to offer? Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Through the chair, I have quite a few, so I hope you'll be patient. One of them is a motion. The motion would be, once again, we'll talk about the thing that's going on in lot 43. And I would like the council to take a look at this motion. I think we need to at least stop or pause until
Excuse
we
me,
have a
there's
tour.
no debate on these. It's just to
Right,
offer.
so
the
that's a motion. And I want to add three,
Just a minute,
each one.
just for clarity, we would deal with these individually. Clerk, deal with that one first.
Right.
Okay. Thank you, Councillor Stewart. Now, as per procedure bylaw, this was a defeated motion last council meeting to put it on the agenda, so it cannot be considered by Councillor Stewart. It needs because it is a motion to reconsider putting the motion on the agenda, not the motion itself. It's just to put it on the agenda. So it would need to be a member of the prevailing side, being one of the four which defeated it last time, who would offer to put that motion on the floor.
I'll offer for the motion to go on the floor for reconsideration.
Thank you, Deputy Mayor. Is there a seconder for that motion?
I would like to second. Thank you.
Councillor Kavanaugh. So we have a mover and seconder that we reconsidered the motion from last week. All in favor of that motion? Any opposed? And that's carried. Okay. Thank you. Councillor Stewart, another one.
Yes. This is an emotion. It basically is an addition. I'd like to consider adding to our either COW or our public meeting this letter containing on May the 10th to the residents of basically Lauren Beach, Mystic Cove, and Inverhuron, talking about the survey. It's caused a lot of angst in the community. I think the council wasn't aware of the
Councillor
letter.
Stewart, just
So
the
we'd like
motion.
to be able to add this for discussion only. Thank you.
So our clerk is advising that will be added in committee of the whole. It's a motion regarding Mystic Cove Gates. Is there a seconder for that motion? Oh, we would add it.
Yeah.
So we'll bring that addition to the agenda at that time. Any others, Councillor Stewart?
Yeah, I'd like to talk about the Bruce Power business plan. I believe I gave the council members all a copy of it. I would just like to have a further explanation and add it to our committee of the whole. Thank you.
And once again, we will add when that comes along to the amendments to the committee of the whole agenda. Any other additions, deletions, or amendments?
Sorry about this, but one more. I would like to add, I want to understand our procedural voting. Last council meeting on May 8th, you had one member that was in the chamber but wasn't allowed to vote. I'd like to have a further understanding of that. So could we add that to the COW too? Thank you.
Clerk, please. Yes.
Through you, Mayor. 4 items that you want to discuss in committee of the whole. When we get to committee of the whole and we ask for additions, that's when you'll bring those last 3 to that. So just so you know, Councillor Stewart, that's when we would talk about those.
Thank you. I figured that, but I wanted to make sure they got in. Thank you.
So we need a motion at this point to add to our council agenda the The council reconsider motion 0508 23-01, the council approved the following amendment to the agenda. A motion tree cutting activity on the marine allowance in front of lot 43, Birchwood Ave, and it would be added as 6.2. 6.3. Any further discussion? Oh, a mover for that motion. So we had the motion to reconsider. So this is the motion that will be added. We need a mover and seconder that we actually include this in the agenda. Moved by Councillor Prenger, seconded by Councillor Hinchberger. Is there any further discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? And that's carried. Okay, moving on. Oh, another amendment, deletion or addition? Is this a notice of motion? That'll come in a bit. No, good. So excited about doing, yeah, right on. So I'd invite any councillors to disclose the pecuniary interest and the general nature thereof, either now or as it arises in the meeting. Councillor Blackwell.
Thank you. Through you, I know it hasn't been formally added to the agenda yet, but I will need to disclose a pecuniary interest related to discussions around Bruce Power.
Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
I'll also have to note a pecuniary interest associated with Bruce Power discussions.
So there is the declaration form that's available on the municipal site. If you could complete that and submit it to the clerk would be beneficial. Thank you. Public forum. Is there any requests for registrants for the public forum? None this evening. Okay. Adoption of minutes from our regular and special meetings of council. Clerk, please.
Moved by Andrea Clark, seconded by Rory Kavanaugh, that the minutes of the council meetings held on May 1st, 2023 and May 8th, 2023, regular and public, be adopted as printed.
Heard the motion. Is there any discussion? All in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Motions and notice of motions. Does anyone have a notice of motion they would like to bring forward to be discussed at the next meeting? Councillor Prenger, please.
Thank you. I'd like to make notice that I'll be bringing forward a motion to the June 5th meeting regarding Enbridge, and I'll provide the details to clerk after the meeting. Thank you.
Thank you, Councillor. We have our private tree bylaw, environmental services 2023-18. Clerk, please.
Moved by Amanda Steinhoff Gray, seconded by Doug Kennedy, that council approve option 3 in report environmental services 2023-18, and further that council establish an ad hoc committee with 3 members of council with a scope bringing back recommendations to council on tree canopy policy, regulating trees on private property, and considerations for including the overall goals in the municipal official plan. And further that staff be directed to bring back a terms of reference for the ad hoc committee for council's consideration.
So you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? All, Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
If I have recommendations for the 3 councillors based on my motion, would I add them now or wait until we vote?
That would likely be determined once we get the terms of reference so that the 3 councillors know what they're going to be asked to do. Any further discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. 6.3. So it's this one down here that we're doing?
Yeah.
Okay. So we need a mover and seconder that 6.3, the motion is that municipality staff stop, pause on all landscaping activity, including tree cutting and planting in front of lot 43, 42, which is Birchwood Avenue, on the marine/road allowance until the council has a chance to review the history of this issue and after their tour. So you've heard the motion. Is there any discussion? Oh, we need mover and seconder first. Right on. Councillor Stewart, and seconded by Councillor Prenger. Okay, just from my perspective, when we have these conversations, when we begin offering instructions to staff, we've had these discussions before. What happens when we get into the operation side? And the other part of the discussion is that in consultation with the CAO, the work that is being addressed is already completed anyway. So council has the opportunity to support or not support the recommendation, but just be aware. So all in favor of supporting the motion? The motion is that we direct staff to stop the landscaping activity and including tree cutting and planting until we have a chance to review the history of this issue and after the municipal bus tour. All in favor of the motion? Anyone? Well, I had asked and no one had any response, so that's why I spoke, because I was waiting. Is there further discussion that you would like to offer? Councillor Steinhoff, Gray.
Through you, Chair, just for CAO, I just want to understand, so if the work's already done, I don't know that we necessarily need a motion to postpone it. I just want to understand if there's any other works in the area that might be of impact given the level of correspondence we've received on this item.
Through you, Mayor. My understanding is the tree trimming is all completed. There may be some minor cosmetic work that for the trail mulching, et cetera, that would be done, but I didn't have a lot of information about this ahead of time, so it was just in conversation. We'll circle back on it tomorrow morning.
Councillor Stewart.
Thank you. And through you, they haven't quite finished what they were supposed to do. I'm a little surprised actually that this wasn't passed last week. And I think it's important for my fellow councillors to understand that the community was very upset. I think everyone needs to really understand the history. There's nothing reason we might have to even amend some of the history. But I think it's important for the community that whatever activity goes on or continues to go on, we need to at least support the community and stop it immediately and basically allow us to look at it, allow the new councillors to really understand what went on. And then basically we going for a tour in a couple of weeks, what's the rush? And there's no reason why. And I don't quite understand why the staff needed to finish this in the last week where they had a whole year to do this, but it seemed to be awful poor timing for us. So I basically hope my fellow
Councillor Stewart.
Thank you.
Staff was doing what the previous council had offered them to do. So that was their mandate and that's what they were doing.
The mayor, that
Excuse
might
me.
be debatable
Excuse me.
once you understand
we're
what
done.
we were asked them to do. And I was on
Excuse me,
council.
Councillor Stewart, you were disrespectful. You'll stop the comments now.
Point of order.
Yes, Councillor Stewart.
I was actually present at the last
Excuse
council.
me, the point of order deals with procedural issues, not history. What would you like to raise, sir?
Just, I'll raise it later. Thank you very much, Mayor.
So we have a motion here regarding the direction from council to staff to stop landscaping activity until we've had a chance to review the history and after the tour. Any more discussion? All in favor of the motion? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Okay, moving on. Consideration of bylaws, the budget policy bylaw. Clerk, please.
Moved by Beth Blackwell, seconded by Bill Stewart, that the budget policy bylaw be deemed to read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw 2023-081.
So you've heard the motion. Any discussion regarding it? Councillor Stewart.
Thank you. Just wanted to thank, and through you, just wanted to thank the treasurer for doing a good job and adding a couple of amendments, which is great. The only thing is, I'm not sure if Roxanne is on. Is Roxanne here? Just
yes,
wanted
I'm
to
here.
know- I know you added the motion or the amendment I wanted to add, but we also need to change the reserve and reserve fund policy. Are you planning to schedule some sort of review of that policy within the next 6 months?
Through you, Mayor, staff was not planning on bringing that policy forward for a review this year. That was something that was going to be looked at in a subsequent year. And if council wants to direct staff to review the policy or amend certain portions of the policy, they can do so.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you very much. And a follow-up, when are we expecting to hear back on the budget for 2022? Are we planning to hear back in July or will it be in the fall?
Through you, Mayor, sorry, do you mean the financial statements for 2022, Councillor Stewart, or the budget?
Absolutely, the financial statements, because then we might want to do an amendment just to the policy for that one particular area. So when are you expecting for us to review the financial statements for 2022?
So through you, Mayor, it's scheduled that either the first week in June or the third week in June is when the financial statements will be finalized for council approval. And that's when the auditors are expected to come to present the statements.
Thank you.
Is there any further discussion? So all in favor of supporting budget policy bylaw, all in favor? Anyone opposed? That's carried. Clerk, please.
Moved by Jennifer Prenger, seconded by Mike Kinchberger, that council move into committee of the whole and upon completion, return to council.
All in favor? And that's carried. So I'd like to call the committee of the whole meeting of the council of the corporation of the municipality of Kincardine to order at 5:17 on May 15th. Roll call remains the same. We have the three additions from Councillor Stewart to include on our agenda. So we need a motion, a mover and a seconder that we include. Do you want them singularly or as a group? Okay. Those.
I can't read them again. Councillor Stewart will have that.
Councillor Stewart, can you offer us some guidance on those three motions that you would like to add to the committee of the whole agenda, please?
Thank you very much. And through you, I'll just sort of do a quick one. One is the Mystic Cove Gate letter dated May 10th. The other one would be the Bruce Power business plan. And the other one would be a procedural thing to understand about voting rights of council members in chamber. Thank you.
So if would council, how be we deal with these singularly? There's a variety of conversations there. So the first, we need a mover and seconder to include the Mystic Cove Gate discussion on the agenda. Moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Kavanaugh. All in favor of that? And that's carried. Second one is regarding the Bruce Power business strategy correspondence that we received. We need a mover and seconder for that motion. Moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by, and seeing no seconder, it is not on the agenda. The third one is regarding procedural guidelines in regards to voting. Moved by Councillor Stewart, seconded by Councillor Prenger. All in favor? And that's carried. Thank you. All right. Once again, if you have a pecuniary interest, please disclose it now or as it arises in the meeting. And we've had a couple of, well, it didn't get on the agenda anyway. All right. Adoption of minutes of our committee of the whole meetings. Clerk, please.
Moved by Andrea Clark, seconded by Rory Kavanaugh, that the minutes of the committee of the whole meeting held on May 8th, 2023 be adopted as printed.
Any discussion? All in favor? And that's carried. Delegations, 6.1. And new technology tonight too. I invite Carol Blake to come to the microphone, please, for your delegation. As per our procedural bylaw, delegations are afforded 10 minutes to make their presentation, after which, if there's any questions from council, they can be entertained. And rather than using an egg timer, we now have up on our board 10 minutes. So every delegation has offered opportunity. See the timer, Carol? Up here? Oh, you got one of your own.
That's okay.
All right,
Where is-
so
I'm sorry.
it's up in the corner of the screen
Yes.
up here. Okay,
Very good.
thank you, Carol. You may begin.
Mayor Craig, Deputy Mayor Clark, members of council, staff, chamber guests. Thank you for the invitation to present my delegation request to update policies. In regard to protocol policy GG.1.13 from revision date September 19, 2018 to a revision date in 2023. Included in your presentation package, 1A is the present flag protocol policy GG 1.1.3, and B is the flag protocol draft that I'm going to present tonight. Number 2, reasons for the update. Number 3, Appendix A to GG.1.3 flying request form. And 4, to confirm Appendix A to GG.1.3 is not included in special events online application, the guide, and revised policy PD.5.2 special events in regard to the bullet list, signage, and street banners. 3 and 4 will not be presented tonight. Once number 1, the flag protocol, is passed, the 3 and 4 will fall in line. This is not a presentation to cancel any organization's opportunity to submit a special events application for their event. Reason for policy changes is to update to present date 2023 and remove Appendix A to GG.1.3. As a candidate, I had the incredible opportunity to have doorstep chats and conversations at the open forums. I am bringing this to my council on behalf of the municipality of Kincardine citizens. Number 1, reasons why. Organizations can now easily promote their events on many platform options, websites, digital news, printed newspaper, local TV, radio, and sponsorships. Number 2, council and staff will spend no time on flag forms, reviewing, researching an organization's ideology designation. Number 3, municipal flag poles stay neutral. Number 4, all municipal buildings stay neutral with no promotion of banners or flags. Number 5, eliminates organization political controversy, which changes year to year. Protects the municipality from future organization requests and council's personal bias in selection. If you would please go to the draft. Purpose will stay the same, to provide a protocol by which flags are flown at the municipal office and properties. Number 2, scope will stay the same. This policy relates to 1, half-masting, and 2, displaying flags, flag raising. Number 3 is where things change. Procedure. Half-masting, 3 days duration upon notice of the death of an individual noted in this section. The municipal custodian shall be immediately notified to take action to lower the Canadian flag at the Municipal Administration Center and other key locations, Davison Center, Library, Beach, Underwood Office, Kincardine and Tiverton Fire Hall. A flag may be removed for a period of time due to inclement weather. Flags are flown at half-mast position as a sign of respect and condolence or to commemorate significant dates. The flags flown at the municipality of Kincardine and its properties are flown at half-mast through this specific application on the death of the mayor or a member of council, on the death of a current Municipality of Kincardine employee, on the death of a former mayor, on the death of a former reeve. In accordance with protocol, flags will also be flown at half-mast on the death of the sovereign, of members of the immediate royal family, the Governor General, the Prime Minister, a former Governor General, or a former Prime Minister, on the death of Lieutenant Governor of Ontario or the Premier of Ontario, and on the death of a local member of Parliament or a local member of provincial Parliament. Flags will also be flown at half-mast in recognition of following dates. 2 dates have been added. April 28th, Day of Mourning, to commemorate workers killed or injured on the job. This is a new date. The second Sunday in September, Firefighters National Memorial Day. This is another new one. The last Sunday in September, National Peace and Police Officers. November 11th, Remembrance Day. The flag is to be flown at half-mast from 11 a.m. to coincide with the start of the ceremony of the National War Memorial. Number 4, process for half-masting. The CAO's department will be responsible for notifying all departments regarding the half-masting of flags with respect to the location, the reason, and the duration that the flag will be flown at half-mast. Department contacts responsible for facilities and municipality properties will be required to lower and raise the flags as per CAO's department's notification. The CAO's department will maintain an inventory of all flags flown at the municipal office and its corporate properties. Displaying flags, flag raising, Municipality of Kincardine flag poles. The Municipality of Kincardine flag poles at Municipal Office, 1475 Concession 5, 1 flag, 1 pole. Kincardine Library, 727 Queen Street, 3 poles, 3 flags. Davison Center, 601 Durham Street, 1 pole, 1 flag. Tiverton Fire Hall, 15 McLaren Street, 2 poles, 2 flags. Kincardine Fire Hall, 127 Mahood Johnson, 1 pole, 1 flag. Beach Harbor Street, 1 pole, 1 flag. All calendar days fly national, provincial, and municipal flags. Requests for municipal flag poles for special events will not be approved. Number 5, process of displaying flags, flag raising. As per Canadian or Canada's flag etiquette, it is improper to fly the Canada flag with any other flag. The national flag of Canada should always be flown on its own mast or flagpole. Flag protocol states that it is improper to fly 2 or more flags on the same mast or flagpole. For example, one beneath the other on the same mast. Flags must fly according to the number of poles in each location. Flag placement. Ontario's flag protocol determines the position of the flags at the provincial events or ceremonies. So position of one flag would be Canada. If you stand facing the flags, the position of honor is to the left. Canada's flag is to the left, and the other, whether it's a national or subnational flag, is on the right as follows. Positioning of 2 flags, Canada on the left, Ontario on the right. If you stand facing the flag, Canada's flag is in the center, Ontario's flag is on the left, and the municipal flag is on the right as follows. Positioning of 3 flags with a municipality. Ontario on the left, Canada in the center, municipality on the right. I request through you, Mayor Craig, that all questions be forwarded to my email for researched answers. In closing, this flag protocol policy with simplified revisions for staff gives council guidance for an absolute authority to stand together in wisdom and leadership, showing respect for all Municipality of Kincardine residents. Unite us. by flying national, provincial, and municipal flags. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Blake. There's opportunity for council to offer questions for clarity. Seeing none. Ms. Blake, thank you. Council has received your delegations. I'd like to call on the Kincardine Summer Music Festival reps to make their delegation, please.
That's me. Not going back. No. Oh, there we go. Thank you, Mayor Craig, Deputy Mayor Clark, and council and staff for having us to present to you today. My name is Claire Andrusiak, and I am the chair of the Kincardine Summer Music Festival of 2023. I'd like to present to you Esther Marshall. She is a board member, and not with us today is Deborah Schnarr, who is our secretary, and Doreen Roma Yavorsky, another board member of ours. As you can see, we are a board of women, which is great. Who we are, the festival has a loyal audience near and far. They enjoy excellent performances of familiar works. We also introduce to new works that expand experiences. Our concerts and programs are carefully designed to balance this expectation and the need to intrigue and excite the students participating in the educational components of the festival who may only have limited knowledge of music and the arts. The series of concerts provided by Kincardine Summer Music Festival is a mix of material attracting concert goers from the surrounding area. Where we all began. Kincardine Summer Music Festival began in 1992 and included concert programs. Our performers are not only professional artists of international stature and diverse cultural backgrounds, but include local and regional musicians. KSMF is a not-for-profit registered charitable corporation. Our students and audiences are people of all ages and a wide range of musical abilities and experiences. During the pandemic, we teamed up with Préville Fine Arts Music Center near Montreal to offer virtual classes for all, which include instrumental music, art, and composition. This collaboration has grown, and some of their instructors assist us now in our new in-person children's classes. This year at KSMF, we'll be running a summer day camp for ages 4 to 9. The camp includes rotation of classes that includes art, music, dance, movement, and creative science activities. This was a new program in 2022 with full enrollment. Last year, we already have a wait list for 2023 with over 50 participants from the municipality of Kincardine. Other programs we are offering include voice and choir for all ages with a senior specific class, fiddle, instrumental band, and strings. Our 2023 concert series has been a great success with a sold-out show featuring Natalie McMaster, Donna Leahy, and family. Our festival concert series planning is well underway with concerts at 4 p.m. in Dunsmore Park and 7 p.m. evening concerts at various locations in Kincardine. We have reached out to local and other Canadian artists for our summer series, and it will be announced in the coming months. We will end our year with Handel's Messiah, a tradition, and a well-attended concert featuring a variety of local artists and groups.
Voluntary concert surveys are handed out to our concert goers to collect data, take suggestions, and determine our next steps for creating a new experience for all those who attend. This data was taken during the Natalie McMaster, Don Leahy, and family concert. As you can see, 226 attendees from the municipality of Kincardine, and even 56 from more than an hour away. We not only collect data on if concert goers enjoyed the entertainment, but how attendees spend their time before and after the concert, and how they support our local community. Many of our attendees go out to restaurants or go out for a drink before and after. They may do some shopping, and some of them even stay locally, which is great for our economy. We also collect data on our festival participants and where they come from. We don't have all the data put together from last year, but this depicts where the participants traveled from the 2019 festival. So as you can see, from a variety as far away as Napanee. Looking forward, Kincardine Summer Music Festival plans to focus on developing classes designed for seniors, including choir, art, music, and dance. We will continue to grow and develop our children's program to include more sessions for students supported by amazing instructors. We would like to see the festival continue to grow and thrive in the great town of Kincardine. We would finally like to thank and continue to thank the sponsors that support Kincardine Summer Music Festival in 2023, including the municipality of Kincardine. Thank you.
Claire and Esther, thank you so much for your presentation. Once again, we have opportunity for questions to provide clarity. Councillor Steinhoff-Gray, please.
I actually just want to give credit to both of you and really call out the Schnur family. I was lucky enough to participate in that festival for many years, and it's some of the fondest childhood memories I have of playing in the quartets and all of that. I adored the experience and I still hang on to it. I've also had the good fortune to billet some of your instructors, which has also been an amazing experience. And I really have to recognize John when I see you up here, because it was him that drove for this to become what it is today. And he's like a phenomenal teacher, and he really pushes so that it's accessible to everybody. I mean, growing up in Bruce County, who would think that you'd have an opportunity to play in an orchestra, but that was his blood, sweat, and tears that made that happen. So I just want to applaud you.
Thank you.
All right, thank you very much. We hope to hear you again this summer. I'd like to invite Karen Ryby to come to the podium, please, from the Bruce Township Historical Society. Karen.
Good afternoon, good evening, I guess it is now. When I hear about music in Kincardine, I don't know if some of you folks would likely know who she is, but my Aunt Verna Schufelt used to follow the band down the street every Saturday night and turn around and come back. So this is not to do with Bruce Township Historical. This is with Kincardine, but anyway, thank you for letting us come. We hope you get to enjoy reading your Bruce Township history books. Being the long weekend, maybe you can go in under a shade tree and read a few things of information. Bruce Township Historical Society has been going since 1983, and we have 12 directors. My understanding is that we are actually the only Township Historical Society in Bruce County. I don't know. That's just what I've been told. So anyway, we have always been working on the history, and when you look in the books, you'll see a lot of the information on the history of Bruce Township. Goes way back to the 1800s and stuff, and Ann Judd, she was one of the original members. She started in 1983, so she's been going for 40 years. We have people like Ann from 40 years to 4 years now as directors on the board. We have an annual meeting every June, the first Friday in June the 9th. Okay. And if anybody would like to come for dinner, we have tickets. I think Mayor Craig already has his. And it's going to be a beef dinner. You have to have beef in Bruce Township, so you do. So anyway, one of the things that we have done over the years, sorry, I should have, is we've done interviews. We've done interviews with different people, reminiscences of, and it was a Gordon Ribey Sr., and that was done in August 1991. And another one that we did, thank heavens we did it when we did, is with Norma Ribey Dunlop. If anybody knows who Dunlop Fuels are, that's, and she was Rodney's oldest sister. And she told me all about different things that I didn't know about Bruce Township. I'm a newbie here, so I am. I've only been here since 1961. And that's so, yeah, I'm just a youngster. So anyway, when another one of the interviews is Gordon and Lois Brown and Dean and Wayne Swat and Marie Ribey. When I came up here, I didn't know that the 12th of Bruce or Wesley Church was the 12th of Bruce or Wesley Church. I always was under the impression it was Ribey Road and Ribey Church. If you look in the books, there's different things about the different churches, the schools and everything. And to be truthful about it, now Shiloh Church on County Road 20 is the only church that is still going. Had different people coming and Tiverton Presbyterian, Tiverton churches are still going, yeah. Since in the last few years, I've had, if I'm out shopping someplace, I've had somebody saying, okay, Mrs. Ribey, when this pandemic is over with, are you folks going to start doing dinners again and making pies? And I said, no, I don't think so. We don't have to raise money to keep the church going anymore. So anyway, there's, we've done a lot of the videos and stuff, and it's really interesting to get looking at them and stuff, and you see the different things that are no longer happen, and in the books you'll see there's people's names in there and stuff that they're no longer on this side of the green grass and stuff. But anyway, I think that's it. Hope you enjoy your books. Okay.
Well, on behalf of the municipality, thank you, Karen. Don't go away yet. I see there's a couple of questions here. So Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you. And through the chair, I just wanted to say thank you so much for coming here tonight. It's always good to learn more and about where we came from and all the lessons that we can take from that. So thank you.
Councillor Stanoff, great, please.
I'm actually curious how you get the videos that you were able to transcribe with the memoirs, because you mentioned them and they sound quite interesting, but I don't know how one would actually go about accessing that.
They are in the office in Underwood that you can borrow them and have a look at them. And they work. We are going to change them from these to, what is it? What's it called? Pardon? Digital, okay, yeah, so, yeah, so, anyway, anyway, I hope everybody has fun.
So on behalf of the municipality, like I accept these books with pride. And I would invite your historical committee to come on over, gather round and get a picture of the presentation. Perhaps Amanda Steinhoff Gray, the counselor from Ward 3, if you would come and help with this, please. Lori's got the camera. We'll kind of focus that direction. Come stand in the middle, Karen. Amanda?
I'm tall.
No, I never get to stand in the back row, ever. Yeah.
As I told my grandson one
Turn
time,
around
you
a
can't
little
have
bit.
heights.
Turn
can't have
around
heights.
and look at Lori. There we go.
My grandson says you can't have heights and Judy too. Everybody say.
Jeez, historical.
History in the making. I think that's great.
Thanks, Lori. Thank you very much. Thank you.
Thank you.
Audrey. Autographed, yeah.
Enjoy your reading. Oh, yeah.
Yep, who lived on Counselor Stewart's grandmother's farm before she did. All right, thank you for those delegations this evening. Moving on to our reports, we have Parks and Recreation Plan, Parks and Facility. Clerk, can you read the motion? Then we'll have our director to explain and answer any questions for us.
That committee of the whole recommend that council approve the addition of facilities and programs as part of the Enhanced Parks Master Plan, and that it be considered a Parks and Recreation Master Plan for a total amount of $55,000. And further, that council confirms its intention to fund the Parks and Recreation Master Plan using development charges. And further, that the project be funded using a 50-50 share of Parks and Recreation Development Charges, RF 80, for $27,500, and the Recreational Reserve Fund for 72 for $27,500. And further, that the Parks Master Plan Motion 050123 be repealed.
So we need
Sorry, it was moved by Amanda Steinhoff Gray, seconded by Doug Kennedy.
Ms. Jagleski, can you afford any broad pictures, or would you just rather begin to address any questions like the council might have, where it's been pretty well explained and we've had opportunity to ask questions? So shall we just go straight to any comments or questions?
Yeah, I think the budget or the report is explanatory, and I'm happy to answer any questions you may have.
Any questions from council members? Yes, we'll start with Councillor Kennedy, Hinchberger, and Stewart.
Okay, just to, what, am I? Okay. Just to, these sort of things are, planning for the future councils, between the next 5 and 15 years. Help decide the future of current facilities and when they'll have to be replaced. Good planning will help us be ready for any grants that might come forward in the next terms of council down the road. My opinion, is if the town did ever want to build a recreation center, it would be near our high school, but an ad hoc committee would find out, not from hundreds of people, but thousands of people in a timely, proper manner to really see how the municipality would like to go forward with recreation and how they would like to pay for it. Just my opinion. Thank you.
Councillor Hinchberger, please.
Thank you through you, Mayor. I think my esteemed colleague, instead of meaning town, meant municipality, but I understand the intent there. I do agree that I think the report is really well written and speaks for itself. I had asked Councillor Kennedy a couple of weeks ago to defer his motion for a little while. The real selling point for me is we talk about the future, but just had a presentation about the importance of learning the lessons of the past. So I'm really glad to see that the almost mythical 2018 Parks Master Plan is going to form a basis and play some sort of role so that we won't necessarily be starting from scratch in this endeavor.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, thank you very much for putting very detail. The only two questions I have is, and you might not be able to answer this, Jane, but I'd like to at least attempt timing for this plan. I know you have to do an R4Q and everything else. So can you give us sort of an idea when we can see this back? Because what I'm worried about, or I'm not worried about, there might not be anything, if it's too late, we won't capture it in the 24 budget. So are you planning to have some sort of part of it in the 24 budget, or are we just going to probably see it late 23? Thank you.
Thank you for the question, and through you. Historically, based on my experience, it's about a 6-month process. The only thing that would hold it up is the selection of a consultant. If we have a challenge with receiving a significant number of bids, that would be the only delay. Obviously, we want to have some robust community engagement through this process, and we'll be working closely with strategic initiatives to determine what the best approach is. What I like about the combination of including recreation with parks is that we will avoid survey fatigue, I'll call it, from our public, as opposed to going out and acquiring information for different projects. This really puts it into a package deal, which provides us with the best possible information we can get from the public.
Councillor Pranger.
Thank you, through you, Chair. This might be a question for the clerk, maybe even, actually. The last line on the motion says that that the Parks Master Plan motion 050123 be repealed. Do we have a copy of that, or do you have the exact wording of that motion? Can I hear it, please?
Through you, Mayor. This was the actual motion that Councillor Kennedy brought forward, and because this motion doesn't exactly reflect his motion, we decided to remove that one. So, and it was the one that deferred it till this. So it was that council increased the approved budget for the Parks Master Plan from 25,000 to 55,000 for an expanded Parks and Recreation Master Plan, with the funds to come from the contingency reserve, and that the scope of the project changed to include municipal recreation facilities and programs with emphasis on future replacement of existing municipal recreation facilities.
Thank you, through you, Chair. So I guess I was just making sure that there was nothing about timelines in that one. That's what I was trying to remember. Did we ever place a timeline on this? I cannot recall. I thought we had. I know you asked about timelines just now, so it answered part of my question. I was just curious if we had ever been given a timeline for the original going forward, or it's just going to be the same timeline now. Even though we're adding, I'm thinking about what adding the scope is going to add to the timeline. That's all. And if we had have gone with the original plan, would it have come back way sooner? Just curious.
Thank you, and through you. Historically, when I've done recreation parks master plans together combined, it's been 6 months. A parks master plan would also be 6 months. We have those conversations and negotiations when a consultant is hired, but typically through the scope, we articulate that we are looking at about a 6-month process. We appreciate the fact that sometimes some bumps arise in the road that may extend it a little bit.
Thank you. I thought I recalled something like that, but I wanted to clarify. So thank you very much.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through the chair. I just wanted to really emphasize that I would like to see youth heavily involved and engaged in this process with some outreach. And as well, I consider arts to be part of recreation. I think that is something that our director of community services agrees with. So I'm just trying to say that sometimes when we see parks and recreation, we might think only of sports, but I'd really like this to be a fulsome plan and to include all the ages in our community.
All right, so we've heard the motion. All in favor of supporting the resolution? Anyone opposed? And that's carried. Brucedale Community Center Agreement Recreation and Community Programs. Clerk, please.
It's moved by Beth Blackwell, seconded by Bill Stewart, that committee of the whole recommend that council pass a bylaw at the June 5th council meeting to enter into a 5-year lease agreement with the Brucedale Community Association for the operation and management of Brucedale Community Center.
Heard the motion. Are there any questions? All in favor? And that's carried. Kincardine Farmers Market Renewal Agreement.
Moved by Jennifer Prenger, seconded by Mike Hinchberger, that committee of the whole recommend that council approve entering into a lease agreement with the Kincardine Farmers Market Association for the lease of certain lands located at Canal Park.
So you've heard the motion. Any questions? All in favor? And that's carried. 7 point. Are Councillor Stewart's motions in here? At the end, okay. Other areas of responsibility, 7.2A, updated code of conduct and council staff relations policy, legislative services. Clerk, please.
Moved by Andrea Clark, seconded by Rory Kavanaugh, that committee of the whole recommend that council place a bylaw on the June 5th, 2023 agenda to adopt the updated code of conduct for council members and local boards, including the complaint protocols and forms, and further that council pass a bylaw on the June 5th, 2023 agenda to adopt the updated council and staff relations policy.
We've heard the motion. Are there any questions? All in favor? That's carried. B, Bill 23, more homes built faster.
Moved by Amanda Steinhoff Gray, seconded by Doug Kennedy, that committee of the whole recommend to council that they support the town of Grimsby's resolution regarding changes to the Ontario Heritage Act concerning the municipal heritage register.
You've heard the motion. Are there any questions? All in favor of that? And that's carried. Municipal surplus lands inventory. Clerk, please.
Moved by Beth Blackwell, seconded by Bill Stewart, that staff be directed to work with Bruce County staff to review the lands identified by the municipality of Kincardine staff as potential lands for development to support affordable and attainable housing goals and bring back a report on consideration of next steps.
For the motion, are there any questions? Councillor Hinchberger, please, and Councillor Stewart.
Thank you through Mayor. I'd like to thank municipal staff through Jolene for pretty much delivering what the motion in March asked for, which was an inventory of lands within 2 months. I'm going to spend quite a bit of time over the next little while looking at the GIS link in here that shows where they actually are. I'm really heartened to hear that some preliminary discussions with the county have been very positive in this regard, and they like where this is going and have expressed an interest to help as well. I'm going to give some credit to my fellow councillor Stewart. When I was talking to him today, he mentioned that Bill 23 changes have also included Saugeen Valley Conservation Authorities being a major landowner in the province. And that I brought this up with Jolene, that whenever our staff sits down with the county for the next step, if the motion's passed, that they also possibly ask the question about getting the SVCA involved as a stakeholder in those discussions with respect to the lands that they own in the municipality of Kincardine. So thank you. Well done.
Councillor Stewart and Kavanaugh, please.
I'll pass. It's already been answered. Thank you.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, I just want to use this as an opportunity to specifically call out the municipal staff here. This GIS and interaction with the mapping is just outstanding. The ability to dial in and see exactly what's being talked about and where and who will be impacted is just incredible. So thank you very much.
All right, you've heard the motion. All in favor of supporting it? And that's carried. The correspondence from April 3, 2023 consent agenda. This had kind of slipped through the cracks and staff brought it back for our consideration. It's here for your comment if you've had opportunity to read the reports, if there's any comments you'd like to make. And there's not even a like there's no motion, it's just for comment, I suppose. Councillor Prenger, please.
Thank you through your chair. Just heads up to my fellow councillors that the notice of motion I gave earlier at the beginning of the meeting is regards to F Foxtrot. So if you'd like to review that before the next meeting, that's what my motion will be about.
Counselor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Through you, I'd like to bring out the Township of Huron-Kinloss Physician Recruitment Program. I see we got a letter from them, and they felt that the 17,000 was good enough and wasn't going to increase that. I'm getting a little worried about our commitment to the clinic and to the physicians, and especially the incentives. I really think that I've talked about this in last council, and I'll probably bring a notice of motion, not tonight. But we're gonna have to maybe start talking about administration fees for residents that are outside our community. Our costs are going up every year, and we need to start to even think about it. I know that in Toronto, there's $100 per family sort of administration cost. So I'm not going to bring it up, but I just wanted to inform you that I will be doing a notice of motion, because we just can't continue supporting this by our own tax dollars without everyone contributing. And I don't think 17,000 is enough contributions. So I'll bring a notice of motion at later date. Thank you.
Counselor Kennedy, please.
Yeah, just to add through the chair, Councillor Stewart, and I didn't realize I had kind of been told we couldn't do that. So I am happy if we can, but I didn't realize that, you know, I thought that was something that we couldn't do, but maybe it is. I am not sure. Okay.
If and when Counselor Stewart chooses to bring forward a motion, you know, there will be an opportunity, I'm sure, for staff to fully investigate our options in that regard, and give us some professional guidance on paths forward. So thank you for raising those options. All right, 7.3. My update this evening deals specifically with the the two from Council, or three from Councillor Stewart. Two. All right, the Mystic Cove Gateway. I'm sorry, was there a motion specifically? That it was just discussion. Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Through you, this letter has caused a lot of concern inside of my community. Most of you know I live on Inverhuron, and I must have had 50 to 100 calls about this. I was unaware of this, and I believe most of council was unaware of this too. It came as a surprise to us. I'm a little bit, there's three areas that I think we need to talk about this letter. First of all, was it approved by the CEO prior to being released? Is one of my questions. I'm a little bit concerned about the third paragraph. I think I gave a copy, and it says in June 2023, staff will recommend to council that the agreement end with the gate being permanently open or its removal. I'm a little confused because I was here at when we discussed this, and I didn't think that the connection between this letter and what we discussed seems to be a disconnect, and it caused a lot of problems because we also offered them a lot of different options. And then the paragraph right after that, if you're a resident of Mystic Cove subdivision, I believe the intent was to get everybody included, but a lot of people were very confused and thought that only 25 or 30 residents were allowed to contribute. And one of the things is that we decided that we would cut Inverhuron in half, and we only sent the letter to the ones that are south of County Road 15. And I really think that we should include everyone from Inverhuron, right all the way over to Concession 2 South, all the way down to Lauren Beach, if we're really going to get a fair assessment. I'm not quite sure what we can do now, but this letter was very, I would say, misleading to the public, and they seem to be quite upset by it. So I think, you know, the survey is a little bit better, but a lot of people won't contribute to the survey because they don't think they're part of this Mystic Cove subdivision. So I don't know how this got out, but maybe the CEO can sort of help us understand, was this reviewed? I know that the mayor personally was unaware of this letter. Thank you very much. My brother, I guess, called you. And so was the CEO aware of this letter, or was this approved prior to being released to the public? Thank you.
Through you, I guess perhaps I'll take this from the staff report that came to council. So staff highlighted that there were concerns that were raised. The agreement had also expired with the county. And that the stakeholders who are directly involved in implementing the policy identified a number of issues associated with the policy. So the recommendation was that there be public information sought through consultation. And I believe that the director spoke a little bit to council about what that consultation might look like. The report also noted that the staff recommendation would be to have that open, but that the point of the consultation would be to gather additional input. But based on our opinion and the opinion of those key stakeholders, that the gate should be open because the policy was not working. And the agreement, frankly, having it reviewed by insurers also noted that there should be additional parties to the agreement. So maybe just turn that back to the council member to ask if that was your understanding of the report, because that's a meeting I was not present at.
To be fair to you, no, I'll be honest with you, it wasn't really our intent, and it's unfair to you because you weren't part of it. But there was a little bit of miscommunication going on, but I'm going to let the other council members really speak up, please. Thank you.
Deputy Mayor, please.
Thank you, Mayor, through you. I think it's fair to say that perhaps the correspondence maybe reads not as clearly as it could. And I wonder whether or not it's possible for further correspondence to go out, just perhaps offering a bit of background, and that there has been no final decision made concerning the gate, but the survey is important for public engagement. And of course, it's a public survey. So if that's possible, perhaps that rectifies the situation somewhat.
Just to follow up, and if we could include all of Inverhuron, just not half of Inverhuron, if we could just resubmit it so we can get a real good understanding of what that whole community would really like to do, I think it would be a lot more powerful for us and the council to make decisions. Thank you.
And just for information, my understanding is that this was submitted to 408 addresses. So certainly a targeted, not everybody within the municipality. However, it is a public survey. So residents is on both sides of the gate for sure.
Okay, so we'll go to Councillor Steinhoff Gray first.
Thank you, through you, Chair. I have, I guess, a question, because I believe that this gate's between two public roads. So is there a reason why we limited the survey to one geographic location? I know when we had that blizzard, there was some people that talked about being stuck on the B line and the difference that might have made in getting from point A to point B when trying to get home. So, if it is a fully publicly funded road for maintenance, I'm wondering why we limited the conversation.
So I'm not trying to limit Councillor Stewart's intent here to have that discussion, but when we have the discussion based on our Director of Infrastructure's recommendation, whatever the recommendation is, that's when we'll get into those questions. Tonight, when there's no motion, there's no direction or anything, so we're discussing towards a point that we don't know where it is. So I would I don't mind if there's questions about the staff intent or something, but like when we get into the broader discussion, like we're kind of missing the point of what the conversation is tonight. But we will absolutely have those questions when the recommendation comes, because our recommendations are based on the best information that staff can give us. So I don't mind, but just keep your questions a little focused here. Councillor Steinhoff Gray, and then we'll go back to Councillor Hinchberger if you still have a question.
Maybe as a follow-up then, because I do think that there was a tone in that previous meeting where we had the delegation asking for the gate to be opened that could have provided direction to staff. We did have a delegation here. I can't remember what happened, but maybe this is a good opportunity for another ad hoc committee.
Moving quickly over to Councillor Hinchberger.
A couple of thoughts. Thank you through you, Mayor. I think that there's been a fair bit of feedback given tonight that direct infrastructure and development can use in terms of whatever is presented to us in the future. I'm just I didn't want to get into the details of exactly what geographical area was going to be subject to the survey, but I'm just a little unclear as there was essentially a circle drawn around the gate out to a certain distance. And when we say, I'm just trying to understand here that 408 respondents were emailed, that it was all those addresses within that sort of perimeter and not sort of an attempt to hit a representative sample within that. I'm just trying to get a visual of, I hear the concerns about people that wouldn't live in that area, but actually under certain circumstances would use it as a passageway. But I'd just like to get a clear picture in my mind tonight about that, how the community engagement was done.
You answer that? You go ahead and answer it then.
Well, I don't think, through you, Mayor, I don't think the community engagement is done. So that's just the starting piece. Was one aspect is trying to get a survey for those residents most directly impacted by the gate. The municipality is also seeking direct input from Bruce Power, as we know many of their employees who may not live close to the gate, but maybe the ones that would benefit from that gate being open. So we're also seeking their input. Okay.
Thank you, Chief Mayor. It's good to hear that. And then I just follow up. I think I'm support Deputy Mayor Clark's comments that I get a sense that maybe some people that were sought out as far as input didn't recognize what their piece was in the bigger picture. And some thought that maybe that was the beginning and end of the whole thing. And so I agree that there's an opportunity here, maybe to just based on what we've learned, to sort of set the record a little clearer about where this little piece fit in the bigger picture here.
Councillor Pranger, please.
Thank you, through you, Chair. Councillor Stewart mentioned this, but it hasn't been addressed, I don't think. In the letter, it says specifically, if you are a resident of the Mystic Cove subdivision, please take a moment to fill this out. So even if it was sent to people who live north of Mystic Cove, they would, at least if I would live north of Mystic Cove, I'd interpret that as, well, they get to answer and I don't. So I think it was slightly misleading, and as we've mentioned, that perhaps a revised circulation could go out so that everybody understands what they're being asked to do. Yeah, thank you.
Last comment to Councillor Stewart.
Thank you. And through you, I don't really want to make a direction, motion here, but I want to have an understanding. And I think that our CEO understands that maybe like my fellow councillors, we just need to resend this letter to make sure we get everyone participating in the survey, because it was a little bit misleading. Do you need a direction from us, or are you? I mean, are you okay? Great. Thank you. That's all.
All right. Next matter, Councillor Stewart.
This is, I want to be careful of this one. This one's an interesting one. I looked under the procedural bylaws about members voting, and it was a tough vote the last weekend vote, and I think it came out to be a tie. So this one member who was, a little bit maybe late for roll call, but was in the chamber for an opportunity to vote. And I think we're a little bit quick on the trigger to disconnect her from the voting opportunity. And I know that I approached the clerk, and the clerk gave me some explanation, but I really would like this to bring it up to council to really understand, because in the procedural bylaw, it doesn't really say anything. I think that the individual member should have a right to understand and a right to vote. And I just wanted to know how council felt about that, because you know, when especially you get into tie votes, every vote really counts. So this is a prime example that I don't think it's black and white in our procedural thing. And I think that we probably should have allowed this member to vote. Thank you.
So perhaps I'll offer the first explanation. Thank you, Councillor Stewart, for raising that. And you're absolutely correct that it is not clear. I also checked the procedural bylaw. I heard the motion being presented as a councillor was coming through the door. I watched the timing. I'm sitting here trying to gauge in real time, and rightly or wrongly, the procedure bylaw says that the mayor does have ability to run the procedure of council. And though councillor was present, the engagement was not there to the best of my understanding. And that was why I chose to declare the vote the way that I did. So we'll go to Councillor Hinchberger and then Steinhoff Gray, please.
Thank you, through your mayor. I'm like always trying to strive towards being better and alerting council. I think there's a couple of like takeaways we could take from this. One, we're going to be revising the procedural bylaw based on the work that Strategy Corp did. And this is, I think, something here that we can clear up so that there's so that we make it as black and white as possible. And the other, you basically addressed it earlier in this meeting here, is it's a good awareness for all of us that if you're on the side that votes in the favor or a majority in something, you have the right through our procedural bylaw to put forward a motion to reconsider within that sort of meeting here. So we can, there's a couple of things that I think that we can learn about, and I don't see this sort of thing happening again. So.
Councillor Steinhoff Gray, please.
Through you, Chair. Yeah, and the other thing that came to mind based on the judgment call that you had to take, Mayor Craig, is I didn't know when that counselor came in, so I wouldn't be comfortable necessarily voting unless I'd actually heard the context. So I think there was a lot of items at play there. I just wanted to acknowledge.
Councillor Stewart.
And I agree. Thank you. Through you, I agree. But I sometimes think that it's important to be head of the council is to allow the council also to have a vote. I know that you took that ownership on yourself, but sometimes it's a good idea to sort of talk to the council, say, would you like to have a vote? Do you really want to see her come in or not, and to vote? So, you know, sometimes it's better to include everybody instead of just making a mandate. So in the future, I'm hoping that the whole council gets the decision, just not the one person. Thank you.
All right, we have the consent agenda. Pardon me. Oh, my update. Oh, correct, my update. I wanted to talk specifically about the work that the county is starting to do on the official plan. Bill 23 has talked about the addition of 2 additional lots on each residential unit to build additional houses. Bill 97 has been introduced, which allows up to 3 additional severances on each farm lot. And included on each of those 3 additional lots is the addition of 2 additional residential units. So there are roughly, plus minus, there's 5,000 farm lots in Bruce County. 3 additional lots on each farm, if it's used to the max, 15,000 lots. 2 extra houses on each one is 30,000 houses. 2.5 to 3 people in each one is another 90,000 people. Now, Bruce County is going to have 50 to 75,000 people in the next 50 years anyway. Like it's just naturally going to grow. But what the province is asking is that it happens in prime agricultural farmland where there's no municipal services, no municipal transit, no municipal anything. And affect the ability to build a chicken barn, a dairy barn, a beef barn is significantly impacted if the advantage is taken to provide us all this extra land, which has been spoken of frequently, that land is not the issue. So the county is working hard. They will be drafting a resolution to send to the lower tier municipalities to encourage a cooperative, collaborative response from Bruce County saying, not a chance. Like, seriously, people, what are you thinking about? Anyway, so you'll likely see more of that coming down the pipes. All right, 8, we have the consent agenda. Items listed here, of course, are routine, and we will pass them all in one motion, excluding any of those that you would like withdrawn, either for comment or inclusion in another agenda. Do you have any items that you would like to comment before we present this motion, please? Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. And through you, 8.4 under communication, the water station, Stony Island Crescent, Kincardine. I'd like to include that when we finally review the EA on the whole water, the Bruce Water thing, because that will be part, because that's where the pumping station, one of the options was. So if we can include that when we bring this forward. Thank you.
That's noted. Thank you. Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
Yeah, under 8.4 communications, I would also like to pull for later discussion, the Bruce Township Historical Society and residents of the former Bruce Township sign on Highway 21, especially given that the delegation was here today. And I know they really care about our historical relevance. So I'd just like to discuss this one at some point.
This evening, if you'd like.
Sure. Okay, so I've had the opportunity to speak to a few different people on it. Our CAO's given me some great guidance. I'm hoping that as a council, we could discuss a creative solution for the Bruce Township sign, which is not particularly visible from the location where we've placed it. I was hoping we could maybe come up with some alternative locations that don't, I guess, conflict with like MTO guidelines and the other jurisdictional rules that we have to abide by as a municipality. I don't know whether it would be an opportunity to ask staff to provide us with guidance of where they think an alternative location might be. Through you, Chair.
Okay, our CAO, please.
Through you, Mayor, to the council members, so thank you for raising the issue. It's something as staff we're quite aware of as something that well-intentioned, but probably not going to have the desired outcome, right? So having the sign to be replaced with the Ministry of Transportation not allowing it to go back in the same corridor, and trying to seek out a location in a farmer's field, which lovely that they would allow us to place it in there, but the location isn't very visible for people. So the intended outcome is not likely satisfactory to most people. So there have been some other suggestions that were put back to some of those individuals that had first brought up the idea of replacement of the signage. And the manager of strategic initiatives could probably speak a little bit to that as well. But I think also you had a recommendation associated with that in like a third option as well. So perhaps you would like to speak with this, and perhaps Manager Fiozzi would like to identify the couple of other options that had been identified previously.
So
Councillor, please go ahead.
Yeah, for my portion, one of the areas I was thinking about is because we have the Bruce Township Community Center there, I thought there where the water well is might be a really good location because it would be quite visible, but within municipal lands, so that they could have that historical relevance and see it without infringing upon the restrictions placed upon us by the MTO. But obviously, I'm interested in staff suggestions as well.
Manager, please.
Through you, Mayor. We have a couple of suggestions that we've been talking about, but we also are going to most likely set up a meeting with the folks who have been interested in the location of the signs. So we've talked about the Walk of Memories as a potential or within Whitney Crawford Community Center. And so this is another option we can discuss with them, the Bruce Township Community Center where the water well is. We can add that to that. So.
Counselor?
Thank you through you, Chair. The only concern I would have that, and I'm obviously Tiverton is Ward 3 Underwood Community Center as well. Bruce Township is definitely a part of the village, but I think the village has been the village and Bruce Township has always seen themselves as a very proud member. So to put that in Tiverton, I'm not sure would meet the intent of what they were going for. I could be remiss there because obviously a lot of the historical pieces I wasn't around for. So I definitely have to get caught up on that. That would just be my only consideration.
Thank you for the opportunity to put my foot in it here, Counselor. So like, I appreciate your comment to have it in municipal lands and Underwood are appropriate. And it's not likely the answer that some people might like to hear, but like if you want to preserve a sign, the best place for it, where the most people will see it in a pristine condition, is inside the community center at Bruce Township. Yeah, well, in Underwood. Anyway, I'm going to wait for the municipal staff to have their public engagement and come up with some sort of well-reasoned solution here. All right. Oh, Councillor Prenger, please.
Thank you through you, Chair. I'd like to pull 8.4 Charlie subarticle Delta for discussion at a future meeting. It's a letter from Prince Edward County about intimate partner violence and declaring it an endemic. And I'd like to combine that with a letter that was submitted under the communications of I think it was our first council meeting actually, from the Women's House here in Kincardine. And it had invited council members to come tour the facility and find out what they do in this and the services they provide. And I'd like to take them up on that offer at some point and invite my fellow councilors to do the same, join me. So if we could discuss that at a future meeting, I will bring that up with the clerk.
Okay. Could you Councillor, I encourage you to have that conversation with our clerk to make sure that the motion that you want, whether it's support of the letter from Prince Edward County or an invitation, to make sure that the motion you provide fulfills the intent. So to have that conversation. Absolutely. So the motion to approve the consent agenda comes back as part of council, does it not? All right. Clerk, final motion for committee of the whole.
Moved by Jennifer Prenger, seconded by Mike Hinchberger, that this committee of the whole adjourn at 6:29 p.m.
All in favor of that motion? That's carried. 9.1 matters arising from committee of the whole consent agenda. Clerk, please.
Come on, hold it.
It's just.
Are you okay, Roy?
Yes, consent agenda motion, please.
Moved by Andrea Clark, seconded by Rory Kavanaugh, and this is the motion regarding the consent agenda for May 15th, 2023, and it's to direct staff to proceed with all necessary administrative action.
All in favor? That's carried. Parks and Recreation Plan. Clerk, please.
Moved by Amanda Steinhoff Gray, seconded by Doug Kennedy, that council approve the addition of facilities and programs as part of an enhanced parks master plan, and that it be considered a parks and recreation master plan for a total amount of $55,000. And further, that council confirms its intent to fund the parks and recreation master plan using development charges. And further, that the project be funded using a 50-50 share of parks and recreation development charges RF 80 for $27,500, and that the recreation RF 72 for 27,500, and further that the Parks Master Plan Motion 050123, and it's -2 actually, be repealed.
Heard the motion. Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. Kincardine Farmers Market Agreement bylaw, please.
So this is moved by Beth Blackwell, seconded by Bill Stewart, and this will be read a first, second, and third time, finally passed and numbered as bylaw 2023-082.
I've heard the motion. All in favor? That's carried. Bill 23 changes to the Ontario Heritage Act.
So this is moved by Jennifer Prenger, seconded by Mike Hinchberger, and it's that council support the town of Grimsby's resolution of February 6, 2023 regarding the changes to the Ontario Heritage Act concerning the municipal register.
I've heard the motion. Any discussion? Councillor Blackwell? Oh, preemptive? All in favor? That's carried. Municipal surplus land inventory.
And this is moved by Andrea Clark, seconded by Rory Kavanaugh, and it's that staff be directed to work with Bruce County staff to review the lands identified by the municipality of Kincardine staff as potential lands for the development to support affordable and attainable housing goals and bring back a report on consideration for next step.
Any discussion? All in favor? That's carried. General announcements. Where do we start? Councillor Steinhoff Gray.
I have no announcements as of today. Thank you.
Councillor Kennedy.
Yeah, I'm excited to say that the nets are up down the beach for volleyball. The leagues from Monday to Thursday night are getting close to being full, so you should go online and check out. And the youth camps and different tournaments are going to have there all summer. It's going to be a busy place, so you should check out the COVA website to help people sign up.
Councillor Blackwell, please.
Thank you, through you. I would like to recognize May 17th, which is recognized in over 130 countries as the International Day Against Homophobia and Transphobia. Two-spirit LGBTQ+ people are entitled to the equal respect of their dignity and treatment and of their fundamental human rights. And yet between 2019 and 2021, there was a 64% rise in police reported hate crimes against the queer community in Canada. And more than 60% of public school students report hearing homophobic or transphobic comments in their school on a daily basis. I wanted to recognize that I think it's this Saturday that the Pride crosswalk will be painted down at the bottom of Harbor Street, and that between 10 and 4:30 is everyone is welcome to come and see the symbol of diversity and inclusion that will hopefully help us to ensure that all folks in our community feel welcome and safe.
Councillor Stewart, please.
Thank you. Just two things. First of all, I'd like to thank the community for supporting the Lions Garage sale first on donations and another thing for buying the stuff. And I'll have a final figure at our next meeting. And I don't really want to take it because probably the mayor's going to talk about multiculturalism tomorrow night at 5:30. So let's all make sure that we go, and I'm looking forward to it because it'll be my first. Thank you.
Your taste buds will never be the same again, Councillor Stewart. Councillor Prenger, please.
Thank you. I was going to mention the crosswalk painting as well. Also because there will be an Indigenous painting this year, which I am super excited about. So I think both are going to be absolutely fantastic and great additions to our, well, I know the Pride flag one is not an addition. We did it last year too and stuff, but I think they're both great for our community. Thank you.
Councillor Hinchberger.
Multicultural night was mine as well. It's been there.
Fair enough. What country do you gravitate towards when it comes to the snacks?
If there's baklava there, I'm all in. So that'd be like Morocco, somewhere in the Mediterranean.
Deputy Mayor.
No announcements.
Councillor Kavanaugh.
Thank you very much. And through the chair, just real quick, all the other Pride or inclusive events have been mentioned. I have one more to add. It's the Hoedown Throwdown Roller Derby tournament that is going to be coming to the Davidson Center on June 3rd. So get your tickets for that. It's going to be an all ages event and it looks like a lot of fun. So thank you.
CAO.
One note, the Heritage Kincardine Committee is looking for some new members. So if you know someone who has an appreciation for cultural or architectural heritage and would be interested in helping to preserve and promote heritage buildings in Kincardine, clerk's office would be happy to speak with them.
Clerk, please.
Moved by Amanda Steinhoff Gray, seconded by Doug Kennedy. This is the confirmatory bylaw for May 15th, 2023, and it will be bylaw 2023-083.
All in favor? That's carried. And the ever popular motion to adjourn.
This is moved by Beth Blackwell, seconded by Bill Stewart, and we will adjourn at 6:36.
All in favor? Go home. Thank you.